Hello, YouTube. Once again, it's time for the NFL Stableford League Power Ranking Show. This is your host, Lefty79, the commissioner of the NFL Stableford League. Once again, checking in with another rankings show as we have one more week to go in the season. And these are the results for after week 17. Wow, and there's some big results here as we are getting down to the playoff push here. We are in the playoff push. Now we're getting towards the end as there's one week remaining in the regular season, and most of the playoff teams are decided except for a few in the AFC, and we'll go over that in this show. At the top of the show, I just wanted to mention some other things. Just some quick hits here. Great response for March Madness, the tournament that was announced in the previous show. It will be a random tournament bracket format with a two-game minimum. Right now, I'm looking at having at least 27 players right now, which is great. But I am still waiting on some players in the league to respond to me. Uh, and you know who you are if I haven't heard from you yet. I don't want to call out any names on the spot here, but yeah, if you haven't told me what your plans are for March, just let me know either in the forums or via the Discord server, and we'll get you set up. It's basically right now we're looking at doing. It's basically it'll be a random bracket with our current NFL teams, and it'll be singles right now. Still debating whether or not I want to go to doubles. I think it's going to be a logistical headache for me in terms of getting all these people signed up, getting handicaps, and I just don't know if the demand for the master difficulty is there. And I know like the players that we have gotten from other societies have been very enthusiastic about the league, and I think they already wanted to be a part of the league. And I guess I just don't want to drag people into the master difficulty. So that's my thinking behind it right now. I know we also had a little bit of discussion on the Discord regarding college teams, and I think some of the allure of being in this society or in this league is being in the NFL, and I'm not really sure if the college teams are going to move the needle in terms of the doubles format. I right now I'm not really giving up on the doubles, but I'm kind of pumping the brakes right now. I really just want to have something fun for March, and there's a lot of fun on the horizon because I am doing some background work, and every game in the tournament, and I'm gonna do a quick little spoiler here, probably to get some people interested here, is every game in the March Madness tournament, and there will be a lot of them. Uh, I believe for the tournament will be a 47. There'll be 47 games, so we're gonna need to know where we're gonna play these games. Well, I know exactly where we're gonna play them, but it doesn't. I don't know where exactly in the bracket, as it's all gonna be random, and it's all gonna be tour-worthy courses that are not on TGC tours as of the time the tournament begins, and courses that were chosen for the NFL Stableford League. So I'm doing my research, and I have courses set up. I have a nice database going here of tour worthy courses that have not seen a tour stop. So these are all going to be new courses, and they're going to be probably random conditions as well. So it will be a true madness tournament, as no one's really going to know where they're going to be playing, as that's the beauty of the March Madness tournament, as it's all neutral sites. It's not a home and away tournament. You're playing basically, you know, your crowd has to travel on the road with you to watch you progress through the tournament. So you have to find your own energy, and you have to find your own motivation to advance in the tournament. So, and there might be some courses from people that we know. uh, in other societies. Could be a course in there from a former player in the league, so we'll have to find out. But if you created a tour-worthy course from August on till today, and it hasn't been on tour yet, you'll be part of March Madness. So whether you'll be hosting a Final Four game or a first or second round game, it's all going to be random. So that I think that's the best way to do it in terms of I know there's tour worthy isn't always the be all end all, but at the same time that's my minimum criteria to host a game. So and you know what, that's kind of how I feel about it. And I know the best designers usually rise to the top when it comes to their courses, and they'll probably end up being on tour before the tournament even starts. So not really too concerned about where we're going to have the games. It's more along the lines of how the format's going to go and if I want to go to doubles or not, and if there's enough interest to actually do it. Because I really don't want to get to 40 or 50 players and then all of a sudden it's like pulling teeth to trying to find somebody to play. So I'd rather just be happy with the guys we have in the league. I'm still waiting on 7 players yet to really commit. Right now, I probably have a couple more extra, and at the end of the day, those would probably end up being alternates if we are full with the players that committed to the league in this past year, because I'm giving the first dibs to the players that played in the league. But as we move on here, let's go to the power ranking show. That's a little bit enough about the March Madness tournament today. We'll get to there'll be more next week, I'm sure. We'll see if things change or if a recruiting drive happens. But right now, I kind of want to pump the brakes until I know that there's a little. I want to kind of do a little bit of a little survey on my own just to see if people will be interested. But as it is, we're gonna stick with the NFL. I believe when it comes to if we do a singles tournament. The college idea is up in the air. There's really nothing good out there to do a show with. Um, I was thinking about doing maximum football for that, and the logos don't really even look good, and the colors look okay, but I don't know. It just would be a lot less production. The production value wouldn't be as good, put it that way. But as it is, we're gonna go to the high production value here of the NFL Stableford League. As we start the rankings this week with number 32, it's the Philadelphia Eagles of Zuby, who are 5-11 right now. They've lost their last 9 games, and unfortunately, that drops them down to the cellar, where Art Vandelay used to reside. The Eagles are down 3 spots this week. They lost at the football team, 26-19. So they're having a little bit of trouble putting points on the board. But this Zuby's new to the league. I know he's gonna find his stride at some point, maybe in the March Madness tournament. Who knows? But it's getting late here in the season, and these are valuable reps for Zuby and valuable games here to get acclimated into the league. And I appreciate the effort that he is putting out, but unfortunately, it's just not bearing any fruit right now. But it could down the road. We'll see. But next, the Eagles will play against Dallas at home uh, with the same record. The Cowboys are 5-11, and this one is a battle between two Brew Crew members, and Ben is just infectious with his enthusiasm right now, and I have a hard time seeing Ben lose this one, but the Eagles could pull an upset and move up out of the cellar before this season is said and done. So we'll have to see. As we now move to number 31, and another team that really hit the skids this year and had a hard time, uh, just never really came together for them. It's the Seattle Seahawks of Chris, who are 3-13. Uh, no change this week in their ranking as they lost to Detroit at home, 30-24. Uh, they've lost their last 6 games now, and it's looking like one more shot at redemption here as they will travel at Art Vandelay's Arizona Cardinals, who are also 3-13. So, as Art would say, it's the battle of the I don't know, the basement, the cellar in the in the NFC West. So we'll see if Seattle can turn it around here before the end of the season and put another win on the board against their division rival, as they did beat the Cardinals earlier in the season. I think that might be the last time they won a game. So, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll see what happens in that one. Is that one could probably go either way. But the Seahawks definitely playing for pride, and we'll see if they can pull. Well, not really an upset, but if they can pull one out there. As we now head to number 30, another team that showed some promise early on. It's the Carolina Panthers of Polecat. They're 3-13 as well, and uh, they stayed the same this week at number 30 after losing at New Orleans in a really close game, 25-24. The Panthers have lost their last three. They've been out of it for a while now, but now they'll be playing at Tampa Bay, who are 10-6. So it's always fun to play the top seed or the division winner in your last game, and try to hang a loss on them before the end of the season, and uh, you know try to find some motivation to get into the next, build some momentum into the March Madness tournament and into the off season. So we'll see if Josiah can pull one out there at Tampa, as they're getting ready for the playoffs right now, as they have won the NFC South and are looking at a first round matchup on the at home. So we'll see if and if you're Tampa Bay, yeah, you don't want to let up here. You're on a roll right now, and Carolina, you know, is looking just to play loose and have a good time. So, but kudos to the Panthers on getting the most wins in a season that they've ever had in this league. So, good for them, and I can see that they improved this year. And who knows, maybe they can pull off one more win and maybe get an upset. As we now go to number 29, and then we have a new player, a new team owner here. It's the Atlanta Falcons, who are 5-11. Now, this was played by a different owner this week, uh, Prowse, Sean, and I really appreciate him coming in and taking over the helm of the Falcons. They're up 3 spots this week, as they put up a lot of points on the road at Buffalo. It just wasn't enough to take down the Mafia, but the Bills Mafia is really tough this time of the year, especially in the winter. But the Falcons traveled up north to Orchard Park and gave them a really good game. It just wasn't enough. It was a 2-point loss, 28-26. But the Falcons have now lost their last five and are looking to turn that around at home against the Saints, who are 6-10, and their division rival, who is just ahead of them in the standings. So kudos to Sean for getting the Falcons back up, ready to play in a week where it really didn't matter. But that's got to be a good sign for things to come in March Madness. So welcome to the league, Sean, and good job on getting the Falcons back up and running. As we now move up to number 28, it's the Arizona Cardinals of Mr. Art Vandelay, who are 4-12. They're down 3 spots this week after losing at Ben Tuff's Dallas Cowboys 29-23. Yeah, that was a tough one. Maybe a little bit too distracted, maybe perhaps on the sidelines by some certain females, maybe perhaps. But as it is, the Cardinals drop one on the road, and now we'll be playing at home against the Seahawks, as mentioned earlier, who are 3-13. But as it is, Art's always in good spirits, and looking forward to having him in tow for March Madness, as he definitely runs on madness. As we now move to number 27, I'm a little bit abbreviated this week on for time, so I'm gonna try to get through these a little bit quicker than normal. It's Platypus Brigade's Tennessee Titans, 4-12. Uh, they're down 4 spots this week from number 23. after losing at home to Miami 26-24. Against the playoff team, they gave them a good fight, but it just wasn't enough to remember the Titans this week as they just fall by a couple points and aren't able to pull that upset. Next, they'll play at Houston, the division leaders in the AFC South, and are looking to play spoiler against Paul, who are they're 8-7-1 right now, and look in the driver's seat for the AFC South. So we'll see if the Titans will give the Texans something to remember them by at Houston, as the Titans are looking to wrap up the season on a high note heading into the offseason. As we go to number 26, it's Platypus's buddy. It's the Las Vegas Raiders in Chinatown, who are 5-11. They're down 2 spots after losing at Indianapolis on the road 34-31. High scoring affair. It ended up going to overtime, and the Colts were able to pull it out. As the Raiders now have lost their last 3 after things were looking a little bit promising, maybe for a wild card. It kind of went sour on them, and unfortunately, that loss to Indianapolis. Wow, another high-scoring game that probably could have went either way, and the Raiders have been kind of victimized by that this season. As they'll now be playing this week now against the LA Chargers, their division rivals, who they're going to try to play spoiler for. Uh, the Chargers are 10-5-1 and currently leading the AFC West, but the Raiders could say something about this if they can pull off a big upset at home. So we'll see what happens, as that division is not settled yet. And funny thing is there's very rare. We have usually things are wrapped up by now, but right now we still have the only division that really got clinched so far is the NFC South. The North in the NFC North is still up for grabs. The West, I believe, is still up for grabs. It might not be anymore, but we'll see if how the results shook out this week. But the East, the NFC was pretty much spoken for. It's the AFC East, the AFC North that's still up for grabs, and also the AFC West. So they're all the AFC divisions are up for grabs. What am I saying? So of course, yeah, it's the AFC has been the action conference this year in terms of excitement and just coming down to the last week here. As we now head to the top 25, and it's the team I just mentioned who defeated the Raiders. It's B-Mells and the Indianapolis Colts. They're at 5-10-1. What a season for B-Mells. This definitely could have been a division-winning team, but just some bad results and some bad luck. They're up 3 spots this week, though, after that win in overtime against Las Vegas. And next, they'll play at Jacksonville with a chance to knock off the Jaguars from a chance at winning the division. As the Jaguars are 7-8-1 and are in that fight with the Texans for division supremacy in the AFC South. Now, the Colts can definitely put a big game together, but usually it's at home where they can do that. On the road, it's been a little bit of a different story. So we'll see if B Mills has one more ride left in him as the coach of the Colts this season and can possibly pull one more win out, as the Colts are looking to get their off-season jump started here with a win on the road against a division rival. As we now go, these are all division games this week, just so everybody knows. So, yeah, if I sound like a broken record about division rivals, it's this final week 18 is they're all division games. That's how the NFL did it. In the last, I think it's been this way for like the last 10 years now, that they wanted to have division games in the last week. So, as we now head to number 24, right next door, it's the Dallas Cowboys. How about them? They're 5-11 after Sky Blue Ben got a big win at home against the Cardinals, 29-23. So blue beat red. That's what happened there, as Sky Blue Ben is up 3 spots from 27 last week, and next will be flying east to Philadelphia to try to knock off the green team next, as they're 5-11 as well. So we'll see if the blue will win out over the green this week as the Cowboys are looking to end the season on a high note and maybe get a little bit extra, motivation from the certain cheerleaders that they have. But congrats to Ben on the win, and I think that was the first one since he's been in the league since he's been back in the league again. So he's won games with two different teams now, the Steelers and the Cowboys. Wow, and those are two big teams that were like dominant in the 70s in the NFL. So kudos to Ben for that accomplishment. As we now go to number 23, it's the Cleveland Browns of Tim. Mav Hockey 19, 6 and 10. Down two spots this week after losing at the Steel Curtain of Pittsburgh 27 to 22. They've lost their last two games now, and next will be playing Cincinnati at home, who are 12 and 4 and leading the AFC North. So there's a chance to play a little spoiler for the Browns at the Dog Pound. Uh, just the Browns were in the hunt for a while and then just kind of fell apart a little bit. I really appreciate having Tim in the league, and always has a really good attitude about it. And unfortunately, we don't know if he's going to be in the madness yet, but we'll see if he commits. But I'm hoping he does, as I really like having him in the league. So I gave away one person that I'm still waiting on there for madness. So, and well, I might as well go if I'm going to go with that route. I might as well mention that B Mills. I haven't heard from him yet either. So just let me know. Otherwise, if I don't hear anything, I'll assume that you're out. And that's kind of how I operate. So, but the Browns at number 23, one more shot to knock off a really good team and a playoff team to boot, and the number one seed in the AFC. So we'll see if the Browns can do that. As we now head to number 22, since I'm calling out people, I'm calling out the Green Bay Packers. What happened this season? What a terrible job. No, Lefty just had a rough go of it this year. A lot on his plate. Probably didn't adjust to it as well as he should have. But the Packers, are 7-9. The shareholders are not too upset. Uh, they would like to make the playoffs every year in Green Bay, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen this year. As they're down two spots this week after losing at home to Minnesota, which that's been a theme. It's a tough team to beat for the Pack in this league. 28-25, and next they'll get to play at Detroit, who's 10-6. So there's a chance there. Detroit's already clinched a playoff spot, but the Packers are pretty much playing for pride now. So we'll see if the Pack can get a little bit of a momentum boost heading into the off season and into March Madness. As we go to number 21, another new owner. He's been in the league a couple weeks now, and he's been doing pretty well. It's Lucas in this style, 6-10. Down two spots this week though after a tough loss at home to the Giants, 27-18. I don't know if there was just an intimidation factor or what it was, but the G-men just came out and put on a trouncing. And there's no shame in losing to the Giants, as the Bears only dropped a couple spots. But yeah, just a tough go of it at home. But next they'll play at Minnesota, who are 11-5, and an opportunity there to play a little bit of a spoiler role in that NFC North race, as I believe Minnesota has to win to clinch the division, as Detroit is right on their heels. So we'll see what happens there, as Lucas will have a shot at redemption here in week number 18. As we now head to number 20, I think this is probably the highest ranking for them all season, and kudos to Greg and the New Orleans Saints, who are 6-10 right now after another win at home against Carolina, 25-24. They're up two spots this week, and they've won their last two games. So the Saints are marching in the right direction as they all play at Atlanta, who are 5-11. So uh, the new guy is going to take on Greg, and we'll see what happens there, as two teams that are pretty close in a record. But Greg's played pretty much all. Greg's been a mainstay in the league, and Prowse is looking to make a name for himself. So we'll see if Sean can get a W here in week number 18. And get his first win at NFL Stableford at the expense of Greg. But Greg isn't going to give up without a fight, and he's at number 20 for a reason, and he's made the most of the end of this season by winning a couple games in a row here. But now we move up to number 19. Who do we have? It's the Jacksonville Jaguars of Corey, who are 7-8-1. They're number 11 in the AFC right now, and they're on life support right now after losing at New England 26-21. They're down 2 spots from number 17, and they've lost their last 2 games. So not the direction you want to go if you're going to try to win a division and get in the playoffs. So the next will play at home against the Colts, and that's going to be a big one. So I don't know. Corey's gonna have to grind this one out and hope that Paul loses, as I believe the tiebreaker would go to Paul. But don't quote me on that. So as it is, I'm still haven't heard from Corey about March Madness, but odds are I think he's gonna be in. But we'll see what happens, as that Jaguars team had a lot of madness going on for it this past season in real life. As we now head to number 18. He's out this week on a business trip, but it's Kike's Kansas City Chiefs, who are 7-9. Ty Lannister is up 8 spots from number 26, the biggest mover up of the week, after winning at Cincinnati on the road 30-29. So he was able to do what Mahomes couldn't do. So congrats to him. Got him right up in these rankings, right where he was before. And next he'll be playing at Denver, or he won't be, but his substitute Danny will be playing at Denver, who are 10-6. So a pretty even matchup, I thought. When Danny decided he wanted to, get his feet wet, and I knew that Kike had actually said that he couldn't make it this week, as he's he's away from his console. I thought, hey, they're pretty similar in ability, and I really didn't want to give Denver a cakewalk because I know that's not fair to Pittsburgh, who has to play, and Buffalo and the other teams that are fighting for that last wild card. So we'll see if it works out. If the Chiefs can play spoiler, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think it'll work out just fine here for everybody involved. But the AFC West still up for grabs here. So Denver really needs a win though if they're going to try to make the playoffs. But the Chiefs, really big win last week against Cincinnati, and if they could do it again, it'd be a great momentum boost going into March Madness. As we now head to number 17, it's the New York Jets of David Dix, who are 8-8. They're officially out of the playoffs after losing last week to Tampa Bay, 27-20. They're down 2 spots this week. Next, they'll be playing at the Bills Mafia in Buffalo at Orchard Park, who are 9-7. That's pretty much an elimination game for the Bills if they don't win that one. The Jets are just playing for pride now. They will be in March Madness, so it'll be interesting to see how they finish the season. But yeah, just it was a tough sledding there for the Jets for a little while, but then they turned it around, and then the altitude went back down again. So unfortunately, just not enough this season, as the level of competition really ramped up in the AFC this year. But we'll see what the Jets can do in Week 18 and try to finish on a high note. As we now head to the halfway point here, we're at number 16, and the team that the Jets are going to play, it is the Buffalo. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. At number 16, Patrick is at number 9 right now in the AFC. Doesn't know for sure if he's out yet or not, but I left him on the in the hunt list because I think there's a possibility of a multi-team tiebreaker. But as it is, he's got to win. It's a must-win against the Jets at home. Uh, they're up 2 spots this week from number 18 after beating Atlanta at home to keep their season alive for now, 28-26. So the Bills, yeah, it's a win, and they do not control their own destiny, unfortunately. So they're going to need some help. So as we now move up to the number 15 spot, We go from Bills over to Rams. And the Rams are actually down 3 spots this week. Kevin, right now, is locked in at the number 7 spot in the NFC. So he pretty much knows he's going to have a road game to start off with against a pretty good team in the first round. They lost at Baltimore, though, 29-27. So it gave them a pretty good fight, but it just wasn't enough. And next, they'll be playing at home against the 49ers, their division rival, who's already clinched the NFC West. So this one's basically for pride, as the Rams have lost their last 2 games. So they're looking to turn things around, and that's why they've dropped a little bit here in the rankings in the last couple weeks here. But we'll see what happens as we now move to number 14. Just moving on a little quicker here as I'm going to try to get through to everybody here. It's the San Francisco 49ers, who are having a little bit of having some troubles lately. They're number 2 in the NFC, though, so their seeding is still intact, but Crushtastic Jason's having a little bit of issues putting some points on the board as they're down 6 spots this week after losing to Houston at home 26-23. Ouch. So they've lost their last 2 games now, and next will be playing at the LA Rams, who are 9-7, who I just mentioned. So that's a get back game for the Niners to try to get back to where they were and hopefully be ready to possibly host the Rams in back-to-back weeks, but next time it's for real in the playoffs. But you got to win first, though, to cement that number 2 seed. So we'll see if they can do that. As we now move to lucky number 13, who do we have here? Well, it's a team that's right on the verge of trying to clinch a playoff spot in the AFC. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers of Pat, who are 10-6. They're in the number 7 spot. They've won their last 3 games. They're going to stay at 13 this week, so no change from last week as they beat Cleveland at home 27-22. Next, they'll be playing at the Ravens, who are 11-5 and are in the hunt for that AFC North. So the Steelers really are playing for their playoff life right now. They will control their own destiny if they can win out. If they can win this game, they'll be in the playoffs. But if they don't win, then they're going to have to hope that a lot of things go their way. So we'll see if that'll happen. We'll see what happens here next week as the Steelers are hoping to get into that tough AFC playoff tournament bracket. As we now move to the top 12 here, and who do we have? It's the Houston Texans, who are 8-7-1 and are currently the number 4 seed in the AFC after that big win at San Francisco on the road, 26-23. The Taft Man is up 3 spots this week from number 15. Unbeaten in their last 2 games, so that's huge. And next they'll be playing at home against the Tennessee Titans with a chance to lock up the AFC South. The Titans are 4-12, but you can't look past them at home. Actually, you can't look past them, period, because the Titans are capable of putting up some big points. But Paul's played pretty well at home, so if he can put up a good number, I can see him being the first Xboxer to make the playoffs in this league, probably since the Money Man. Actually, I think the Browns. No, it wasn't the Browns last year because that was somebody else who owned them. But I want to say the Money Man made the playoffs with the Patriots, and I want to say Rob Stockner with the Browns also made the playoffs with the Xbox. So we've had, and then I think Betty made the playoffs as well with the Ravens. So Paul would add his name to an illustrious list of Xboxers if he was able to make the playoffs with the Houston Texans. So good luck, Paul. No pressure. Just have fun. As we now move to number 11, it's the Denver Broncos of Austin, who are number 8 in the AFC at 10-6 right now. They've won their last 2, but they're still not in the playoffs yet, as they're up 3 spots in these rankings from number 14 last week after beating their division rival, the LA Chargers, at LA 26-25. at Inglewood. So that was a big win for them to stay in the hunt in the AFC playoff picture. And next they'll have to play at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, their biggest rival probably in the league. So you wouldn't have it any other way. You have to beat your biggest rival to try to get into the playoffs. So we'll see if the Broncos can do it as we now move into the top 10. It's the Detroit Lions of CF who are 10 and 6, number 6 in the NFC. They're locked in for a playoff spot. I think they can still move up if they can win the NFC North. They would be able to host a game and they would be able to host a wild card game. But as it is, they're up one spot in the rankings right now from number 11 after winning at Seattle last week on the road, and they've won their last 5, so they're rolling right now in the Motor City as they will next host the struggling Green Bay Packers, who are 7 and 9. So CF really turned his season around probably in October when he started putting some wins on the board, and the confidence has just grown ever since. And I'm pretty sure they had a perfect December, and now the Lions are looking to end January or end the regular season on a high note here as they're roaring into the playoffs. As we now head to number 9, who do we have? Might be a little bit of a surprise here. It's the Los Angeles Chargers of Bino. They're down 4 spots this week. They're 10-5-1, still in the AFC number 3 seed. So not really, not really time to panic yet, but they got to win. As the AFC is really up in the air right now. They lost to Denver last week, as mentioned, 26-25. The hard thing was it happened at home, and that's, they could say you could say a lot about the Chargers not really having a home field advantage, being in LA now, but that might have bit them there. But now they'll go on the road at Las Vegas, so they really can't use that excuse now, as they'll be in a hostile environment playing the Raiders, who are 5-11. So the Chargers are winless in their last 2, and that's what's keeping them a little bit on edge right now. So if they can pull that win out at Las Vegas, I believe that would be enough to clinch at least a playoff berth with 11 wins. So we'll see what happens in Week 18 as we now move to number 8. It's the Miami Dolphins of Cade, who are 11-5 and number 2 in the AFC. Currently locked in a battle for the AFC East right now with the New England Patriots, who we have not mentioned yet. The Dolphins are up 1 spot this week after beating the Tennessee Titans at Tennessee 26-24. That was a big win for them as that kept them even with the Patriots, who also won this past week. So now the clash for all clashes in the AFC East, the clash to end all clashes, as the Patriots will now go to Miami for the AFC East championship. We'll see what happens there as the Patriots. Franz is a tough customer anywhere you play him, but the Dolphins have some confidence at home. So we'll see if Cade can pull off the AFC East championship at home against the New England Patriots in Week 18, where it's all on the line. As we now move to number 7, this is probably the highest they've been ranked all season. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of Brandon Carroll, who are 10-6 and locked into that number 4 seed in the NFC right now, as they're up 3 spots in the rankings this week after beating the Jets in an impressive fashion on the road, 27-20. They've won their last 6 games, so they're moving up these rankings like a rocket, as they are now ready. They are now going to play the Carolina Panthers at home, who are 3-13. So the Bucks are looking really good right now. The cannons are firing, and we'll see what happens as they're now getting ready for their playoffs, and it's going to be a very interesting wild card for them, as it's looking like they're going to be locked in against Washington at home. So that will be an interesting one. As we now move to number 6, and the team that we just mentioned will be playing for the AFC East Championship, the AFC East title, the New England Patriots of Franz. They're 11-5. They're number 5 in the AFC right now. They're up one spot after beating the Jaguars at home 26-21. Next, they'll play at Miami, as mentioned, and they've won their last 2 games. So, if the Patriots can just keep on going and Belichick has the right game plan, the Patriots will be right back to where they started, and that would be the AFC East Division champions. So, it's all on the line for them. I'm pretty sure they're clinched as a playoff team, but even that is still there's still so much up in the air in the AFC that it's almost like you have to win every week, even if you're going for a division title. So we'll see what happens though, as there could be some tiebreakers and things that come into effect. So as it is, the Patriots are going to go for it, and we'll see if they can do it in Week 18. As we go to number 5, we're in the top 5 now. And who do we have from the NFC North? It's the Minnesota Vikings of Andrew, who are number 3 in the NFC right now, but they have a shot at moving up yet, as they're 11-5, and they're up one spot in these rankings from number 6 last week after beating Green Bay on the road 28-25. They've won their last 4, so the momentum's on their side, and now the purple will host the Bears, who are 6-10. So if the Vikings are able to get that win against the Bears, who knows? They could end up the number 2 seed in the NFC. So we'll see what happens, or if they decide that they're just going to bench the starters. We'll find out in Week 18. As we now go to number 4, and we hit the top 4. And might be a little bit of a surprise. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, who are the number 1 team in the AFC, but only at number 4 in the rankings this week, after losing at home to Kansas City 30-29. So future Buckeye, Jason, just a little bit of a stumble there, but they're only down 2 spots from number 2 last week. But now they'll be hosting Cleveland to lock up the AFC North and to lock up that number 1 seed in the AFC. So I don't think the Bengals are going to be too concerned about the power rankings if they get that number 1 seed, as really you want the number 1 seed. That's the most important thing. But as it is, who's ahead of them in the AFC then? If it's not the Bengals, who is it? Well, right now, it's the Ravens, who are ranked at number 3 as they leapfrog the Bengals, and they're up one spot from number 4 last week, as Be More Golf Pro Eddie is now number 6 in the AFC as a wild card team after losing. Well, they did lose at home to the Rams, 29-27. But I think they actually beat the Rams. I think I have this wrong on my sheet. So that's why the Ravens moved up. And now they'll be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, and they'll have a shot at maybe knocking the Steelers out of the playoffs. Now that's always something that Raven fans look forward to. So it's a very hard-nosed rivalry in the AFC North, and there's definitely no love lost there, as these two teams are always in the hunt every year. So we'll see if the Ravens can knock the Steelers out, and also move themselves into a playoff berth. As we now move to number 2, who do we have? Well, they're right next door. It's the Washington football team, at least until February 2nd, and they're 11-5 and number 5 in the NFC. As Zach Coynan is up one spot from number 3 after beating the Eagles at home by a touchdown, 26-19. They've won their last 4 games, so very impressive this season. And next they'll be playing at the number 1 team, and this is basically for the number 1 spot in the rankings, the New York Giants, who are now the number 1 team this week after Week 17, after beating the Bears on the road 27-18, and they have won now their last 14 games. Wow, what an impressive streak. And now the Giants could possibly cap it off by beating the number 2 team in the rankings, the Washington football team, and basically getting a week off and getting that number 1 seed in the NFC. Well, they've already got that clinched, so that they already know they're getting the week off, but you got to keep the momentum going, and sometimes you take too much time off and you get rusty. So we'll see What happens in that monumental clash in Washington? As actually, it's in New York, in East Rutherford at uh, the Meadowlands. So we'll see if the Giants at MetLife can get that 15th win in a 17 game season. That's just really impressive, Don. So Tag Rocket's really been rocketing up the charts here. I mean, basically staying at number one, and if they can beat the football team, it's pretty much a lock that they're going to be ending the season as the number one team. But I want to thank you for joining me today. This has been Lefty 79 for the NFL Stableford League Power Ranking Show. A little bit of an abbreviated edition this week, but I think the last couple were a little bit longer, so making up for it a little bit. But as it is, I want to thank everybody for playing and for getting your games in and for helping out. If you're a sub or if you're new to the league, I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon as we finish up this season, this regular season, in week 18. Take care, everyone, and I will see you down the road.